have to hit. Well, hello, everyone. My name's Audrey Scanlan. I'm the Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Central Pennsylvania, and we're trying something new with our Friday video series in the season of Advent. The first thing that's new is that we're going to launch this Advent series before it's even Advent. You'll be watching this first video recording on the weekend of Thanksgiving. I have joining me today Anna Gail Fenn. Welcome, Anna Gail.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. This series that I'm doing is focused on the idea of hope. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But before we get there, let me say that my interest is in interviewing people from all the different orders of ministry in the church. So, as you know, the ministers of the church are bishops, priests, deacons, and lay people. And actually, it's lay people that are named first in the prayer book as the ministers of the church. So you are a minister of our church. I'm excited to have you. What church do you go to? Tell us what you do there.
So I currently am attending St. Thomas Episcopal Church in Lancaster, and each Sunday I sing in the choir, and I will occasionally read a lesson here and there. However, over the years, I've been an acolyte, and I've been to various youth events for the church.
You just went to did you go to the youth event this past summer?
No, I was unfortunately unable to attend because I was going on a really large vacation across the country.
That's right.
Yeah.
I watched your vacation with a lot of jealousy on Facebook. Tell us just a little bit about where you went.
Oh my goodness. We traveled. We actually drove across the country. That was the first part of the vacation. It was this once in a lifetime massive trip. So yeah, the first thing we did was we drove across the country, and then we landed on the Oregon coast, which honestly was just the most spectacularly beautiful place I think I've ever seen in my life. It was so beautiful. Then I went on a cruise across Alaska, which was also really crazy. And then I drove back across the country. So it spanned like an entire month, and it was such a cool trip to be a part of.
And who went on that trip with you?
It was my family and I.
Yeah. Okay. That's a long time to be in a car together.
Yes, it was. I didn't get sick of them though. I thought I would, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you're here to talk with us today. I want to ask you one more question before we talk about the theme of hope, and that is to ask you a little bit about your music, because I know that you do sing at church. Do you sing at school as well?
I do. I sing in the main chorus at school, but I also sing in 2 audition groups. I sing in the concert choir, which is a kind of a smaller group, and then I sing in a treble voice, so a girl voice only ensemble called Bella Voce. And that has about like 24 singers in it.
Wow. And are you a soprano or an alto?
I'm actually both. This year in concert choir, I sing alto. And then in the rest of the groups, I sing soprano 1.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm an alto. I love altos. So
yes, the altos are so awesome. Like, you guys do so much.
Thank you. It's fun. So let's talk a little bit about hope. I'm wondering, where you might see hope in the church right now, as you experience it. We hear a lot about how young people aren't interested in church. I even heard somebody say this week that young people are leaving the church to find Jesus. So that was a little shocking.
Yeah,
So where do you find hope in the church today?
I think right now in this moment, one of the hopes that I have for the church is actually one that you guys are actively working on, and that is the Ending the Gun Violence Ministry. I think that is such an important thing that the church is working on right now. And I really hope that you all will continue to work on changing the current legislation in place that Pennsylvania has. I just think it is such an important and pressing issue to be working on. Yeah, and I see so much hope in the future for it. I really do. I think we've made so much progress, and we can continue to make that progress happen.
Mm-hmm. So some of the early efforts at reducing gun violence were led by young people after the shooting in Florida. And the whole March for Our Lives effort was led here in Harrisburg, was led by some of our young students. One of them an Episcopalian, I'm proud to say, Maya Corey. So I think that we need your voice. You want to tell folks a little bit about how you participated in our convention this year?
Yes. So I had the wonderful opportunity to read a poem that I wrote called Vigil for the Victims. And it narrated the tragedy at Uvalde, but also in its essence, it was really a poem of hope that things can change, that we can all use our voices to speak up about this issue and to change the current legislation.
Mm-hmm.
It was so impactful and meaningful to get to read that to everybody.
Well, I'm not sure there was a dry eye in the house. I was really moved by what you had to say, but also because it was coming from the voice of somebody. We say often that the young people aren't the church of the future, they're the church of today, right? So
yes, we are. Yeah. And as a student, it was especially important, I think, to speak up about it because it is an issue that is pressing on me today. Even though I may not acknowledge it every single day at school, there's always that fear that something like that could happen.
Yeah. What else do you hope for in our society? Not maybe just the church, but in general?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think the gun violence ministry also, but on a larger scale, I think violence in general and war, I just don't understand like human nature in general. Why do we have to fight each other? Why is conflict such a large focus on society is my kind of question.
Yes. Yeah. I think conflict is born of passion.
I agree.
I think it also can be enculturated where we come to expect it.
I don't think it's necessarily needed in order to make political decisions. I don't think all of this warfare is needed in order to move on. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I see hope that we can bring an end to all of this. Not right now, of course, because change is a very gradual thing over a course of time, as we all know, but eventually I do think we'll make big changes.
Well, I think change happens in a couple of ways for us as Christians. Change happens, it begins with prayer for me.
Me too.
And the prayer, I like to think, kind of fuels what I can then do, that I'm empowered to speak out. I'm not a big, I'm not really well schooled in things around legislature. I've learned a lot from your mom, Jennifer.
My mom's awesome.
Yeah, and yet when I say my prayers, I feel empowered to do that work.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, this is kind of going off script here, but I'm just so glad to have a chance to talk with you. Can you tell me a little bit about how you pray?
So there are a lot of different ways that I pray. On Sunday mornings, I find myself praying through music. Music is a huge ministry for me. Sometimes I find myself praying through poetry, but mainly I find myself praying outside in nature because I'm alone and this is kind of weird, but I'm like connecting with the trees almost. And I can feel God's presence in the nature. So that's my favorite way to pray personally, just quiet, alone, outside with the breeze.
You have some beautiful places near where you live in Lancaster to go outside. And
I'm so blessed to have that. Oh my goodness. Lancaster is so beautiful, especially in the fall.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really grateful to you for coming and chatting with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention on the theme of hope or anything else while we're here?
I mean, I will say I think we're doing such good work for the youth ministry. And that's another hope that I have for the church is that we will continue to have it flourish and we can continue to encourage the excitement for the youth ministry and the younger generations that are up and coming. Because you did mention that earlier, that we are the church of today, you know?
Yeah.
Just want to sort of
what happens in church that makes you feel included or honored or part of the community? Because one of the things I hear is that youth don't feel included a lot.
I think my mom does such a great job at including the younger people in the church. I mean, we have the children's sermon, which I don't really do anymore because, I'm almost 16, but she's so welcoming with the children. In fact, actually, I think it was this past Sunday, there was a baby that crawled up to the altar. And it was the most precious thing I think I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was just so moving to see that this baby was so interested in the church and in my mom, what she was saying.
I guess we should say that your mom is the rector of St. Thomas.
Oh, yeah, that's also important to mention. Yeah, she is. She's awesome.
Yeah. So you have a great role model in her. So what did she do when the baby crawled up around the altar?
She picked her up.
Oh,
it was so beautiful to see. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but yeah, that's what happened.
Well, I think that's a beautiful thing to do. Yeah. Good.
It was cool to see that.
Well, I'm excited for the future of our church because of people like you, Anna Gail. So
thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for representing all the youth of the diocese by talking with me for this series.
Thank you so much again.
All right. Well, you take care. I'm going to stop recording now.
Right.